Israel is a small country in a tough neighborhood, born in 1948 and shaped by near-constant conflict. War, or its threat, is woven into the nation's identity. To understand Israel, you must grasp how conflict shapes its politics, culture, and daily life. The story is not just about soldiers and borders, but about a nation's psychology, haunted by past traumas and anxious about the future. Survival is central, but so is the sense of being trapped in a cycle of violence. The roots of conflict are tangled. History, geography, identity, and religion all play a part. Israel sits at a crossroads, where continents, faiths, and the aspirations of Israelis and Palestinians collide. The world often sees the conflict as black and white, but on the ground it's far more complex. Both Israelis and Palestinians have deep, painful narratives, the Holocaust and the Nakba, existential fears and dreams of statehood. These stories are true to those who hold them, and they are on a collision course. To understand why peace is elusive, we must look at the map, listen to the stories, and examine the political calculations in Jerusalem, Ramallah, Tehran, and Washington. This is a journey into a fractured land, holy to many but peaceful for few. The conflict is not just history, it's alive today, as tensions remain high. The question is not just why Israel has fought so many wars, but why peace remains so stubbornly out of reach. Is it the land, the people, or the religions? The answer is all of the above and more. The region's open wound shapes the Middle East. Everyone has a narrative, a list of grievances, and both sides see themselves as victims. The story is about the present as much as the past. To truly explore why Israel cannot seem to live without war, we have to peel back the layers. This is the reality of Israel, today, July 2, 2025. The tensions are as real as ever. Israel's conflict didn't start in 1948, it began decades earlier. In the late 1800s, Jewish nationalism or Zionism emerged, aiming to create a homeland in Palestine. At the same time, Palestinian Arabs developed their own national identity and aspirations for independence. Two peoples, two national movements, both claiming the same land. From the start, their dreams were set on a collision course. Outside powers made things worse after World War I. Britain took control of Palestine and made conflicting promises to Jews and Arabs. The Balfour Declaration supported a Jewish homeland while Arabs were promised independence. This fueled mistrust and rising tensions. Jewish immigration increased, especially as persecution in Europe grew, leading to violence between communities. The Holocaust intensified the urgency for a Jewish state. In 1947, the UN voted to partition Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. Jewish leaders accepted, Arab leaders rejected, seeing it as theft of their land. When Israel declared independence in 1948, 5 Arab armies invaded. For Israelis, it was a war of survival. For Palestinians, it was the Nakba, the catastrophe. This foundational war set the stage for every conflict that followed. The seeds of today's struggle were sown long before Israel's birth. Two peoples, both with legitimate aspirations, locked in a tragic clash. The world's guilt after the Holocaust played a role, but so did colonial promises and betrayals. The conflict's roots run deep, and its legacy endures. Understanding this history is key to understanding the present. Geography is destiny, and for Israel that means living surrounded by former enemies. Israel is a tiny strip of land bordered by Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt, countries that for decades sought its destruction. This created a siege mentality and a doctrine of self-reliance. Israel's early wars, 1948, 1956, 1967, 1973, were fought against state armies. The 1967 Six-Day War changed everything. Israel captured the Sinai, Gaza, West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Golan Heights. Israel became an occupying power, ruling over millions of Palestinians. Over time, the threat shifted from armies to non-state actors. Egypt and Jordan made peace, but new dangers emerged. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, both backed by Iran. These groups use rockets and guerrilla tactics, making the conflict more complex and harder to resolve. Israel now faces rocket attacks from groups embedded in civilian areas, not just armies at its borders. The old wars have ended, but a grinding, endless conflict with militias has taken their place. The neighborhood remains dangerous, the threats more diffuse and unpredictable. Israel's security doctrine has evolved, but the sense of vulnerability persists. The challenge now is defeating enemies who hide among civilians and fight with ideology, not just weapons. The region's dynamics have changed, but peace remains elusive. The cycle of conflict continues, shaped by geography and history. Israel's neighbors are no longer just enemies, but the dangers are as real as ever. The map may have changed, but the sense of siege endures. The wars of the past echo in the present. The threat is constant, the solution's elusive. Israel's neighborhood is still a very dangerous place. The struggle for security defines the nation. The conflict is far from over. Israel's small size is a source of deep insecurity. At its narrowest, it's just 9 miles wide, easy to cut in two. This lack of strategic depth drives Israel's obsession with defensible borders and reluctance to give up captured territory. The West Bank, a hilly plateau, looms over Israel's population centers. Holding this land provides short-term security, but fuels long-term conflict. The occupation angers Palestinians and complicates any peace deal. Hundreds of thousands of settlers make withdrawal even harder. The land that offers security also creates profound political and demographic risks. In Israel, the front line is everywhere. There's no safe rear. The entire country lives with the anxiety of being a fortress under siege. Giving up land for uncertain peace feels like a gamble many Israelis won't take. The conflict is a tangled knot of politics, religion, and security. In Israel, every political decision is filtered through the lens of security. Leaders are cautious. One security failure can end a career. Religion adds another explosive layer. For many Jews, the West Bank is the biblical heartland. For many Muslims, the land is a sacred trust. Jerusalem is at the heart of this holy war, claimed by both sides as their capital. These religious claims make compromise nearly impossible. The mix of religion and nationalism turns the conflict into a struggle of absolutes. Security concerns drive Israel's powerful military and intelligence services. The doctrine of deterrence, showing enemies the cost of attack will be too high, shapes every response. But relying on force can create a cycle of violence, fueling more anger and more attacks. The conflict over land is inseparable from faith and fear. Political risks are magnified by religious conviction. Every move is seen as existential. The cycle of violence is hard to break when each side believes it has a divine mandate. Security, religion, and politics are locked together, making peace a distant hope. The knot tightens with every new round of violence. Perspectives on the conflict depend on where you stand. Inside Israel, opinions are deeply divided. The right sees strength and security as essential. The left sees occupation as a moral and demographic disaster. Outside Israel, the Arab world views Israel as a colonial implant and sympathizes with the Palestinians. In the West, support for Israel is strong but increasingly contested, especially among younger generations. Social media amplifies Palestinian voices, challenging old narratives. The information war is as fierce as the conflict on the ground. Each side clings to its own truths, fueling division. The world's view of Israel is shifting, and the debate is more polarized than ever. The conflict story is told differently depending on who is telling it. For Israelis, conflict shapes daily life. Mandatory military service is a shared national experience, binding society but leaving scars. The threat of terrorism and rockets is ever present. Bomb shelters are part of everyday life. Children learn to seek shelter in seconds. Psychological trauma is widespread. Security checks are routine and armed guards are everywhere. The economy bears the cost. Defense spending is high and instability threatens business and tourism. Yet, life goes on. Cafes are full, beaches are crowded, and people strive for normalcy. Resilience is a national trait, but the shadow of conflict is always present. The conflict is in the headlines, the debates, and the minds of parents with children in the army. Beneath the vibrant surface, anxiety and uncertainty persist. The struggle for normalcy is constant. The cost of conflict is measured in more than just lives lost. It shapes the nation's psyche. The shadow never fully lifts. This is life in Israel. Resilient but always under a cloud. Is peace possible? Opinions are divided. The two-state solution, an independent Palestine alongside Israel, once seemed within reach, but now feels distant. Settlements in the West Bank make a viable Palestinian state hard to imagine. Many on both sides have lost faith, fueling radicalism and despair. Alternatives like a one-state solution are deeply controversial, seen as unjust or existentially threatening. Managing the conflict, not solving it, has become the default policy. The status quo is maintained, but the underlying issues remain unresolved. Critics warn that this only delays the next eruption of violence. The dream of peace is fading, replaced by resignation. The conflict's future is uncertain, but the challenges are clear. Without bold change, the cycle will continue. The visions for tomorrow are as divided as ever. The path to peace remains blocked. Why can't Israel live without war? The answer is a tragic knot of history, geography, and identity. Two national movements claim the same land, amplified by insecurity and occupation. Religion and politics make compromise nearly impossible. Leaders are trapped by their own narratives and the expectations of their people. Every peace effort crashes on the rocks of core issues: Jerusalem, refugees, security, borders. Perspectives are worlds apart, and daily life is shaped by conflict. The two-state solution seems distant, alternatives are fraught with risk. The result is a managed, not solved conflict. Israel's inability to escape war is rooted in mistrust, power imbalances, and mutually exclusive demands. Until something fundamental changes, this land will remain defined by conflict, not peace. The knot remains stubbornly, tragically tied.